Good afternoon. I'm very excited to talk to you today. I wasn't sure what I was going to talk to you about because I'd not had a lot of questions from you guys. So I thought I would talk to you about financial abundance, and I figured who in the world doesn't want more money? So let me just check I'm on silent here because I don't want to be pinging in your ears. There we go. Okay, so the first thing I will tell you is a little bit about me. So my name's Georgina. I use EFT, which is the emotional freedom technique. You might be familiar with the tapping solution and the Ortners, the lovely Ortners. You may also be familiar with, it's usually called tapping now, it's kind of been rebranded, but originally the emotional freedom technique, and it uses tapping on acupressure points to release any energetic disturbances in the body. So it might all sound a little bit woo-woo, and I am a little bit woo-woo, I'll admit to that, but I also put a lot of emphasis on the what we call psychological reversals in this work. So that's more the psychological side of things. What exactly is happening when we think we want to create something in our life, or we want to attract more of something in our life, but for some reason we seem to stay stuck right where we are or push those things away. So whether it be love or weight loss or whatever it might be, we think we want to lose weight, we think we want to find the person of our dreams, but for some reason our behaviours and our attitude and our energetic vibration, woo-woo, I know, but it all plays a part in either attracting or pushing away the things that we think that we want. A couple of weeks ago I did a level 3 advanced EFT training for some of my lovely practitioners, and one of the things that we talked about was money. I realised when I was talking to them that when I spoke about money, I asked one of them a question, you know, if you're sitting there in that chair right now, where is money? So if you're sitting there and you think about money, where do you feel it? Where do you see it? And I realised that for me, when I thought about money, I saw money kind of up above me. It was something that was really high up, something I couldn't quite reach. And that was really interesting to me. So I thought, aha, that's something to tap on. So at the end of this live stream, we're going to do a bit of tapping on that. And you can tap along with that and work on your money stuff too. Another question that I think is interesting to think about when we look at why we might not be creating financial abundance and lots of money flowing quite easily into our life is that subconsciously we're holding beliefs about what rich people, if you like, what rich people are like, and what successful and financially abundant people are like, what they look like, how they dress, how they feel when we're in a room with them. If money was a person, what would they look like? So take a moment now to have a little think about that. If you're watching the replay, you can even pause this video, grab a notepad and a pen, which is always handy, and just take a moment to really ponder that. When I think about money, I'll be quite honest with the first thing that pops into my head is I think about me having money specifically. I see me in a very sharp looking suit. I've done a lot of work on this on myself, so luckily my relationship with that person is a lot better than it used to be. But the first time I did this, I realised that when I thought about money as a person, it was this person who owned really big cars that were too big for the road and just like gas guzzlers. In my head, in my subconscious, I had decided that people with money and lots of financial abundance were wasteful and maybe arrogant, and I'd built them up to be these nasty creatures in my mind, when in fact people who have lots of money are just that, people who have lots of money. So once I started to get my head around that, that really helped me out. If money was a person, how would they act? So I want you to want to know what they would look like to you, but I also want to know how would they act? What is it about those actions and about their attitude and their behaviours that you like? And what is it that you don't like? Because let's remember that the subconscious, its number one game in life, its number one job really is to make sure that it keeps you safe. What it's looking for is patterns and messages and anything that's dangerous. It wants to keep you well away from all the dangerous stuff. So if your subconscious has decided that having money, in my case back then, would make me arrogant and like I just didn't care about anything and suddenly I was just really entitled, then there's no way my subconscious is going to let me become those things. So if it believes money equals arrogance and I don't want to become arrogant, it's not going to let me have money. It's going to do everything it can to energetically push away money. Another thing with this idea of if money were a person is when you look at them, how do you feel or think about them? So when you visualize that person in your mind's eye, just think about, what am I feeling towards them? Do I like them? Don't I like them? Have a little conversation with yourself. What are the things that are coming up in your head when you look at that person in your mind? If money was a person, when I look at them, how do they make me feel? How do they make you feel about yourself? Do you feel like they would like you? Or do you feel like they'd think, me, and they'd look down on you? Or maybe you look up to people with money and you don't think that you're worthy of that. So bear in mind, these are all things that are going to be totally subconscious. We all want more money and financial abundance in our life, but for some reason, some of us are pushing it away energetically. And it's all because of these subconscious patterns that we're holding on to. And these questions about if money was a person, what would they look like? How would I feel about them? What would I think about them? They're all going to give you insight into why it might be that your subconscious is going, no, I can't be that person. I can't be that person who has money. Okay, the next thing I want you to think about is if you suddenly had all the money that you wanted, you had as much financial abundance, it just flowed freely, you could have whatever you wanted, and the money just kept coming. If that happened to you, what would that look like for you? How would that affect your life? And again, take a real moment here to ponder, is it something that feels comfortable in your body when you think about having lots of money? The first thing that tends to happen when I ask people these questions in my EFT trainings, when I say, what would it be like to have lots of money? How would that feel? You know, the usual response is, oh, it'd be amazing. And then when we dig a bit deeper, we realise, oh, actually, sometimes we think with more money comes more responsibility. I have worked with people who have thought that if they attract more money into their life, that suddenly people are going to start coming out of the woodwork that just want them for their money. Some people, this was a big thing for me actually back in the day before tapping and when I started to really dig deep into my relationship with money, I would look at the idea that if I got lots of money and it came to me and it was flowing and it was all lovely, that somehow it would just leave. Somehow it felt as though someone was just going to take it away from me. So I would get it, I'd get comfortable with it, I'd be happy about having this money, and then suddenly, boom, poof, it would just be gone. Like somebody had the power to take my money from me. And when I did some tapping work and some visualization work with that, I got much deeper into where that kind of thing came from. And it can be something so simple. For me, it was about a memory I had when I was a teenager and I had some birthday money and I had seen this amazing blouse. When I think back now, yeah, it was pretty horrendous actually. It was like a purple, green and orange tie-dye shirt. So that was an interesting fashion phase for me. But I absolutely fell in love with this thing, and I told my mum it was only £20 and actually it was 45. So when I bought it, I felt like I had to lie about how much money I'd spent. And for some reason, to me, it felt like if I told her how much money I was spending, the money would get taken away from me. That never happened, by the way. The money never got taken away from me. But I had the feeling that it might get taken away, and that was so real to me that up until quite recently I was carrying a belief that if I made lots of money then somebody would just take it all away. So have a think about that. What would that look like? Also take a moment to dig deep into what would happen if you got all this money, you're all happy, everything's going great, yay, I've got loads of money, and then who does it affect? What happens to the relationships in your life? If you're suddenly what we might call financially free, so in my mind, my belief system around being financially free is that I would no longer have to worry about money. I would no longer be a source of stress in my life. And if that were to truly happen to me or to you, who might that affect? What relationships in your life would that affect? How would it affect your relationships with your family? How would it affect relationships with your partner, with if you have children, with your children, with friends? What dynamic would shift if you were suddenly to just have all the money that you thought you ever wanted? So again, take a real moment to pause this video if you're watching the replay and just really dig deep into that. Just even write it down on paper, like who would it affect, and just see what pops into your head. Even if it doesn't make sense when it first pops in, just go with it, because if there's one thing I've learned using EFT, it's that if you go with the first thing that pops into your head, that first instinct, then it's not going to lead you wrong. It's always going to take you somewhere that you need to do a bit of work. Right, what else have I got here? Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about, as I spoke about at the beginning of this session, was if you're sitting where you are right now or standing, or if you are so inclined, maybe you are even fully reclined, in which case I applaud you. So if you're lying down, sitting there, standing up, wherever you are, just be aware of where you are in the world right now, in this moment in your body. And think about the concept of where is money? So as I said, and this hasn't changed at all since I first realised it a few weeks ago, because I haven't done any direct tapping work on this. I was saving it for you guys. So I am here, and for me money is way up there. And the thing that I really notice about this idea that money is up here is that it feels really hard to get to. And I made a couple of notes before I started, which is what I'm glancing down at here. And what I wrote down was that it feels like lots of hard work, jumping up and down to try and grab this money. And it also feels quite undignified. It feels like a bit like I'm a bit dishevelled in my attempts to jump up and kind of grab at this money, and then occasionally one will flicker down and it's like, am I quick enough to catch it? Okay, so let's have a think about this. For you, if my money is up here, where's yours? If we can believe, just for the next few minutes, if you can extend your disbelief, if you like, and just really go with me here. If money was a thing, just an object, just an energy, just a flow, where would it be? Once you've got a sense of where it is, where you see it, where you feel it, maybe you hear it, maybe it's got a sound. When you've located it, how do you feel about where you are in relation to it? So for me, money was up here and it's hard work, jumping around. How does it make you feel about yourself? What does it make you think about yourself when you think about the fact that money is wherever you've put it? I also want you to get on board, just for the next few minutes, with the idea that money is never ending. It's an energy. It is abundant. There's more than enough to go around.